Good morning and welcome back to 501c TV. I'm your host, Janelle Harris, and this is the podcast that talks to thought leaders, system change leaders, nonprofits, nonprofit partners to talk about what is going on in the industry, any new events that are happening, and just to learn a little bit about each other. And this morning, I'm very excited to have in studio here with us Keri Morrison with the Live Like Jake Foundation. Good morning, Keri.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm very excited to have you on here because this is such an important, extremely important topic, especially I feel like in South Florida.
Yes.
We're going to get into this. We're going to talk about who you are and what the foundation Live Like Jake is all about. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and start us off.
Okay, thank you. Keri Morrison, I am the founder and executive director of the Live Like Jake Foundation, and it was started back in 2014 after we lost our son to a drowning accident. It was November 30th, 2013, and we were visiting our family for the Thanksgiving Day holiday. And Jake, who was almost 3 years old, snuck out of an unlocked door at the home we were visiting and fell into the intercoastal waterway.
Were you guys from Florida?
Born and raised.
Okay, born and raised in Florida. Got
Born
it.
and
Okay.
raised. It took about 20 to 30 minutes to find him, and it was too late. They were never able to revive him. And that night, really, it's still hard to not get emotional, but
I'm going to cry this entire time, so it's okay.
I tend to bring the mood down when I go to places.
You're great. It's an important story to tell, and I'm very happy that you're here today.
It's, your children are your world.
Yes.
So at that time, my world was completely shattered. And, over the years, my heart's coming back together and through the work that we do with Live Like Jake.
Yep.
But it can happen to anybody.
It's terrifying. So I will tell you that I moved to South Florida 6 years ago, and my kids were small. They were first grade, and my daughter was still in daycare. And I was terrified. And I told my now husband, I'm like, I do not want a home with a pool because my kids do not know how to swim. And I was terrified because every home here has a pool. And not just a pool. That's important to note with your story, which I think is really important, is that it's any body of water.
Correct.
And it can happen instantaneously. And I was terrified. So when I first moved here, I was like, my kids were like, we moved here from Atlanta, and they had water wings on. And I was like, first point of order, I'm like, I have to get them into swim lessons. And we'll talk a little bit about what ISR is, because I think that's really important because my kids were older by then, and I didn't do ISR lessons with them, but I want you to explain what that is and why that's important. But I completely feel you as like a mom and just anyone with small kids, because it
takes as little as 21 seconds.
21 seconds. I mean, that is like
quick answer of a phone call, answering the door.
Correct.
Social media check.
Yes. So it was important, when I moved down here, because it is such a terrifying topic that, like you said, in a split second.
I'm a born and raised Floridian.
Yeah.
My mother still lives in the home that she lived in when they took me home from the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
So I grew up here. And Jake actually grew up around the water. We boated all the time. He had a healthy respect for the water. We had taken him that summer. We lost him for swim lessons. They were traditional swim lessons.
Yes.
And in 5 weeks, he didn't learn anything. And it was just a few months later that we had lost him.
Yeah.
And so the day after we lost him, I told my family, I said, I saw those swim lessons for those babies. I don't care what any of you say. Julia, who was 3 months at the time, I said, as soon as she's old enough, she's going in those lessons.
And how old do you have to be? And we'll get into that. It's ISR.
6 months,
Okay,
yes, for the
got it.
ISR. So I had some friends that had done it. I had seen it. We went a different route.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't care what anyone says
Yep.
when she's old enough. So we started her at 8 months only because it was April, and there was no indoor pools at the time,
Right.
and that's just when her pool opened, Stacy's pool. And it was 1 week into those lessons that we realized these could have saved Jake's life.
Yeah.
And with the help of the instructor, she was my best friend now.
Yeah.
She really helped guide me to start Live Like Jake and to offer these lessons to families that can't afford them because they're private swim lessons. They're expensive.
Yeah.
And to date, we have done over 3,600 scholarships
Are you
around the
serious?
nation. Yeah.
Wow.
So we do about 400 to 600 a year.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So everything, is all done in his memory. And one of the things that gets me out of bed every morning and, keeping me moving forward because they really could have saved his life.
Absolutely. And so tell me a little bit about ISR. So if people don't understand because you think swim lesson, my kids did the traditional route, but ISR is totally different.
Yes.
So I will let you speak to that and explain what that is because it's really cool actually.
It stands for Infant Swimming Resource, and it is a self-rescue swim lesson. There is some misconception because people think it's just for babies because it is infant swimming resource, but it's not. It's 6 months to 6 years and even older. Most instructors will teach older children.
Okay.
But the concept is they're going to learn how to save themselves.
Gotcha.
So when they hit that water, if they were to fall in, their instinct is to roll back and float.
Got you.
Babies, that's all they learn because
Yeah.
that's all they're capable of.
Right.
So if someone says, my baby was swimming at 6 months, no, your baby was not. Your baby can self-rescue.
Yes.
But swimming is a little out of their reach. Once they're about 15, 16 months in walking, they teach them how to, what they call swim, float, swim. So if
Okay.
they were to fall in and no one was there to save them,
Sure.
they could at least navigate their way out of the pool or the water.
Interesting.
So with Jake, he fell into the intercoastal. So even had he learned to swim with the traditional swim lessons, it wouldn't have saved him because there was no stairs
Right.
or no wall to climb to.
Right.
And then once they're skilled, then they put them in clothes. So they'll put them in winter clothes, summer clothes, diaper, like shoes, everything.
Wow.
Which he fell in the water fully clothed.
Of course, yeah.
So,
Interesting.
we'll never know, obviously.
Right.
If the lessons would have even saved him. It was windy, it was dark, but at least he would have had a fighting chance and he would
Sure.
have known what
Yeah,
to do.
Absolutely. Interesting. So tell me a little bit about some of the statistics about drowning. And I think once you get into this, people will really understand why this is such an important topic for anyone with kids at all.
Yes. So drowning is the number one cause of death in children ages 1 to 4.
Yeah.
The number one. It used to be unintentional death. It's now the leading cause of death.
And that is anywhere,
Anywhere.
not just
1 to
Florida.
4.
Yeah, 1 to 4. So it's terrifying. It really is like
terrifying.
a terrifying
It
topic.
needs to be discussed more in the
Yeah.
hospitals, in the daycares, in the pediatrician's office. It really, truly can happen to anybody. It's fast. Kids are curious.
Yeah.
And Jake was not your typical boy. He did not run to the water. He was just very cautious.
Yeah.
We know he was out there pushing his baby doll stroller. We found it in the water. So
Okay.
he didn't just go run
Yeah,
and jump in the water.
right,
But there are a lot of kids that do.
Absolutely.
They're drawn to water. So
Yep.
if it can happen to a child like Jake, who was extremely cautious and not drawn to the water, it can
Yeah.
happen to anybody.
And that's the thing. And it's, I think here in Florida, we automatically think, oh, swimming pool. I put the gate, the alarm, the this, the that, which are all great. But, if you can have something in place that they can do themselves to save
Yes.
their own life, I mean, that is so important. So obviously, this is not a mission that you chose. And we talked about this on camera, that a lot of nonprofits start up for a number of reasons. And, knowing what you know now, because you said we're coming up on 10 years, right? 10-year anniversary, or you hit your 10-year anniversary. What has changed in 10 years? So tell me about the foundation itself, the mission, some of the things that you've learned along the way that maybe can help some other people out there that might be in a similar situation or starting out, a new foundation like this. What are some things you could give them? Some wisdom,
I know.
Keri.
We have definitely come a long way.
Yeah.
In the beginning, our fundraisers were selling shirts and garage sales.
I'm sure, yeah.
And then our first big event was our 5K. That was the first time we were able to really make a difference and start giving all of the scholarships. I think my advice would be start small. You know, don't have that big picture
Sure.
quite yet, because there is a lot that goes
Right.
into running a nonprofit, and make sure you have the time to run it. You know, I work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
363 days. I take Easter and Christmas
Oh my
off.
goodness.
But I will work every single day. I work on vacation, you know, and that's just me, but
Yeah.
that's my work ethic, and I just want to make a difference.
Yeah.
But, you know, make sure you have the time, make sure you have a good support system. Couldn't do it without our board and friends and family. And, you know, we've come a long way to having big events from, you know, yard sales.
Yeah, no, that's actually really, really crazy. And I'm proud of you guys, because it's, you know, you have nonprofits that come on here that have been around for a long time, that are big, and it's challenging. I mean, no matter what. So especially to, you know, start one, and it's definitely all done with heart and love, and you're doing it to,
Absolutely.
you know, to keep other people safe. And
Yeah, I didn't ask for this job.
Absolutely.
You know, there are some foundations that are run by high-level
Yeah.
executive directors that went to school specifically for
Right.
it. Like, that's not me. I was chosen, you know, for this. I'm a believer, and I, you know, believe that, you know, this is supposed to be my mission.
I agree, and I'm glad you said that, because when I was on your website, the one part of the story that probably start crying again, but the one part of the story that I thought that really spoke to me was, tell me about the underwater camera, about the
picture
photo
of Jake in our logo.
Yeah.
I had 10,000 photos, and the week of the funeral, we're trying to get all these photos of Jake, and I've got friends going through my computer, and my husband's like, I gotta find that camera I had. And I said, we have enough photos. It's okay.
Right.
He's like, no, I gotta find it. And it was a real small, thin camera that Jake thought was his phone. So he would always pretend it was his phone.
Okay.
So it was like 2 days before the funeral, Rourke got into his truck for the first time. And when he went to back up, he turned around, and there was the camera in Jake's car seat. So he pulled it out, went inside, and we found this photo. And that photo was taken 8-9 months before we lost him.
Right.
But because it was on his camera, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
And Jake loved to wear my shoes,
Which I thought was
my
so
mom's
cute.
shoes. I've got so many pictures of him. He just loved the clinking. And
Yeah.
So he was in my flip-flops looking down, and that picture, if you see it on our website,
Yeah.
it's not doctored. That was the
It's a
light
beautiful
coming
picture.
in, and it was coming in the triangle shape, which that was his favorite. He called them cacos. Don't know why, but you know, anywhere we went when he saw like a pyramid or something, it was always caco, and so it just all made sense for us.
Right in that one photo too.
It just we gravitate, you know, towards that photo,
Yeah.
and we know we're going to be with them again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's just going to be some time. We'll all be together again, but you know, in the meantime, we're just going to make a difference and try to save lives.
And I really think, you know, that picture to me is like, it's his way of like shining a light on something that is like such a tragic thing that could happen to somebody.
Of course, the one day I'm not wearing my shirt that has the logo.
Right. No, that's okay. We'll find it. It's on the website.
I usually have it on.
You look beautiful in pink, so it's all good. So tell me a little bit about some of the events that you guys do. Actually, you know what? Before we get into events, I want to highlight, let's talk about the facility, because when you talk about all the things that have changed in 10 years and all the things that you've been able to accomplish, this is pretty cool, because early in your story you said we had to wait because, you know, there was no indoor pool to do, you know, to do the lessons in. Tell me about this, because I think this is really cool. I'm really like proud of you guys for being able to pull this off.
Thank you.
It's cool.
Yeah, that was a very early on pipe dream. Like, wow, we need an indoor pool.
Right.
That way lessons don't stop.
Yes.
You know, I know we're here in Florida, but the lessons still stop. It still gets chilly out. The water's
Correct.
cold. No one wants to be swimming in that weather.
Especially the week we've had here.
Yeah. So it was just something that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And in 2020, 2 weeks before COVID,
Perfect timing. That's
we
usually when
signed a
stuff
lease
goes in.
for a building that needed a lot of work, and then COVID hit, and there were some rocky times there, but we pushed through, and we opened up in November of 2020. We've had probably over 1,000 kids come through the facility to learn.
And is
how
that
to
in Palm Beach
self-rescue.
Gardens?
It's in Palm Beach Gardens.
Okay,
It's
perfect.
actually an above ground
Is
pool.
it really? Cool.
Just right there in our building.
I love that.
Our goal is to have an in-ground indoor pool. So we're trying to put the feelers out there.
You can do that.
Needs to be a little deeper so we can help the bigger kids. And
Yeah.
we really want to be able to help children on the spectrum. That's something that is really important. 90% of their deaths come from drowning.
Yeah.
And we want to work with that.
I did not know
community.
that.
Yeah.
That makes complete
It's usually
sense.
from when they elope and they find the water.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. At that facility, do you guys offer lessons for people that want to pay to get a lesson?
Yes,
Okay.
actually, the instructors rent the pool from us.
Awesome.
So we have 5 ISR instructors. They teach anywhere from 7 in the morning till 6 at night.
Wow.
So it is I like to say, a revolving door,
Yeah.
screaming kids.
Yeah.
But yes, so no, it is for regular students and
Okay.
scholarship students.
Which is awesome because that's what I wasn't sure because I know obviously
Sure.
you do the scholarship. So what's the goal for this year? So I'm sure like every year it's increased on the number of scholarships. So what do you have your sights set on for 2024?
I would say to still be able to do our 400 to 600 scholarships and have a better idea of where our in-ground indoor pool will be.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Tell me about sponsorships. Do you guys have like corporate sponsors that are backing you? And
Yes, we have a couple events throughout the
Okay.
year that we have sponsors for. So our big 5K is April
Yes.
27th at Abacoa.
Okay,
It's a
yep.
big event,
I
12 to
saw that on
1,600 participants. So it
That's
is a
huge.
great opportunity for businesses to get involved and get their name out there.
Okay,
And our gala is always usually around October of every year.
got it.
And we do have some businesses that just support us throughout the year, that not necessarily through an event.
Sure.
But, yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
That was my next question. So what type of volunteer opportunities would there be? Because people are always, they watch this and they're like, I want to get involved. I want to
Sure.
help. How can they help?
For us, it's mainly with events,
Okay.
or just sharing our information, following us on social media, because that's where you make the difference, is reaching the parents. We're
Absolutely.
not really educating the children, we're educating the parents on
Absolutely.
how quick and easy it can happen, how easy it's prevented. That's really something I still struggle with 10 years later, is that Jake didn't die from cancer, something out of my control.
Correct.
He died from something in my control. If all of the layers of protection were in place, if he had that last layer of defense, those self-rescue swim lessons, he'd be here today.
Yeah.
And I know all the other parents in my position struggle with that as well. And it's preventable.
Yeah. That's the part. So when people come to you for scholarships, how do they come to you, and how do you choose them? Like, what's that process there?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Actually, on our website, livelikejake.org or .com, whichever one you get to, they both take you to the same place. There's a tab that says scholarship, and all of our stuff is done online.
Okay,
and
cool.
it is income-based. So, but it's not just at that poverty level, because these lessons are expensive.
Yeah.
So you may think, oh, I make too much. But we do allow for anywhere from about $60,000 to $90,000, depending on how many children you have for
Gotcha.
gross annual income.
Okay. Perfect.
To be approved.
I think that's really cool. So we want to do like an in-ground pool.
Yeah.
That's on the wish list.
Yes.
What other things do you guys have that you are your goals for the future?
Just to see a day where not one more child drowns.
Yeah.
To just pull up that website. 92 children have drowned in Florida this year. And that's just recorded.
Yeah.
And there was just one December 15th. We cannot go a month without at least one drowning. There were 6 last month, 5 the month before. It just, you think, oh, that's a summer thing or a spring. No, it is an all year round thing. So that's really our goal, is to see a day where not one more child drowns, which I believe it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, like, I'm sure, like, I mean, for me, frustration just with, why isn't this something like that, how do we get this available to every single family? That's the hard part. That's the challenge.
Yeah, it's a position sometimes I'm in that I wake up and when I see one, and when they're in our area, they really
hit home, I'm
they
sure.
really hit me hard.
Yeah.
How do I not reach that family? We're in the daycares, we're in the hospitals, we're on social media. Like, how do we reach these people? So if anyone has ideas, please, reach out. We love to collaborate, but again, it's just about reaching parents about the importance of water safety.
And that's the great thing that you guys are doing, because this isn't like a a problem that you can come up with a solution and solve, and then it goes away. There are kids being born every minute, every hour, every day.
Yes.
And so, it's just
and they're all at risk.
They're all at risk. Like that's
Happens,
the part.
they do not discriminate.
Yeah.
There are country singer stars, there's Olympians, there's they do not discriminate.
Yeah.
It happens to really, really good parents.
Yes.
And it's just one of those things you can't sit back and, I watch my kids all the time and, it's never going to happen to me.
21 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really like the one thing that, resonates with me, because that is.
There's one story, and this woman, they were on vacation with doctors. They're all doctors. She split a brownie with her child, and then he snuck out of the apartment or the rental they were in. When she jumped in the water after him, she still had her brownie in her mouth. The doctors intubated him right away, and he did not make it.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
So, I mean, it's just, that's how quick it happened. She was still eating the brownie she shared with him. And then you have some people where their child was without air for 20 minutes and survived. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it really does happen to good parents.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think, like you just said, that's the misconception. Like, I watch and I have all these safeguards and it'll be fine. And then the other thing too that I did worry about when my kids were much smaller and couldn't swim is when they are in situations where they're not with me. What if they're at a friend's house or they're,
Grandparents' house.
Grandparents, friends, neighbors, they are out fishing at a pond.
You can't be with them 24/7.
That's the thing. And that's really, I think, the important takeaway is like, there's nothing bad that will come out of your child, getting swim lessons or ISR when they're babies. Like,
yeah, just do your research, find what works best for you.
Yeah.
ISR worked for my family. My baby started at 6 months and 8 months. There's actually a video of Josie that has probably close to 1 billion views now.
Really?
Worldwide social media. And it was just her as a baby being coaxed in, and she rolled over because she was so tiny.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it created quite a frenzy.
I bet.
Is that
on your website?
It is, yes, it's on our YouTube channel.
Okay,
Live
I'll
Like
have to look
Jake.
and find that.
Yeah, if you Google Josie Live Like Jake video, you'll see it. And it's, it saved a lot of lives. And when we had Julia, that's my middle child, we were done. I had my boy, my girl, I'm 36 years old.
Yeah.
And 3 months later, we lost Jake. And
Right.
so we did have Josie. And when we were at the hospital, I told my friends, I said, God wasn't done. And maybe one day she'll save the world.
Yeah.
And then, not even a year later, that video went worldwide.
Oh my gosh, that gives me such
was
chills.
viewed, and obviously she didn't save the world, but her video went worldwide, and I'd like to believe it saved a lot of lives.
Absolutely.
So,
I think that's incredible. Anything else that you want our watchers, listeners to know? I'm so honored to have you here today because it's such an important topic. And so I thank you for being here. Is there anything else that you want people to know about Jake, about the foundation, about anything else? I'm sure he would be so proud of you.
Jake was a really special boy. And I know all children are special, but he just really was just a happy-go-lucky child. No one met him that, he just brought a smile to everyone, and he still continues to do so because I share his pictures and his smile all the time. And children are special. They're loved. They're your world. You got to protect them. And real quick, the layers of protection: adult supervision, doors and windows locked and alarmed at all times.
Right.
Fence the pool. I get that asked a lot.
Yeah.
I don't want to fence the pool. It's ugly.
Right.
And I
hear that a lot,
actually
too.
have a campaign out there, and it shows a pool fence and it shows a child's coffin.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What's uglier?
Pick one. Right. Absolutely.
And it is the only barrier that will keep regardless of whether they know how to swim. It's a physical barrier that will keep your child from entering the water.
Yeah.
Please fence the pool. Quality self-rescue swim lessons. If you want to learn more about ISR, you can go to infantswim.com to find the closest instructor. They're all over the world. So, and CPR. You never know when you're going to need it.
Yeah. That's a whole nother podcast too. Like that's super important.
It can make the difference of one, if your child makes it, whether they're gonna live an impactful life from there, or
totally.
Some of these families, they lose their child all over again.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad that you're here, and love following along to see just all the great work that you guys have already done. Like I said, you don't set out for this type of mission and foundation, but it's so needed. There's a reason for it. And, if we can keep Jake's legacy going and all the good work that you guys do, then that's everything. So thank you so much. If you guys want to learn more about the foundation and what Keri and all these wonderful people are doing, follow along. It's livelikejake.com or .org, right? Both places will get you there. And you can also find out about all of their events that you can support them at. So take a look at that. And if you have any questions about the swim lessons that they do, or just swimming lessons, or drowning prevention in general, I'm sure Keri would
be happy to
help you. So thank you again for joining us. And thank you again for joining us on 501c TV. And we'll see you next time. And also thank you to Kana House Studios, Wellington's first and only podcast web creation studio. Thank you.